the dragon, which is where we go here, and we start to go to different positions like the crab ride. Okay? That's going to be our main focus this week. First of all, we're just going to do a couple drills to like accurately set up the position and like keep beats the line of my legs here. Okay? And again, like you could end up being a specialist in reverse De La Riva or a half guard. Okay? But on paper, like typically we don't want to let people get this close. Right? So when this does happen, okay, aside from going to guard retention and disengaging, you guys see what I do right away to commit to this position. Okay, once Gabe steps in, I'm bringing my middle instep to his quad. And guys, I really don't want to let him put too much pressure into my knee here. This isn't the end of the world, okay? But I'm generally going to have more success here if my knee has more mobility. So when he steps in, another thing I'm doing at the very least is I'm keeping my elbow under my own knee, okay? So for those of you that have worked guard retention with me in the past, we've done things like self frame. It's like when Gabe steps in, he goes a knee slice. Like see a self frame kind of does the same thing, okay? Now we're just switching here, we're being a little more offensive with it, okay? Now, just setting up the position here, okay? Other things we need to do. This foot, very important. If I don't do anything, Gabe's gonna close the distance here. He even gets things like an underhook and he's gonna smash me here, okay? So from here, guys, I'm gonna take that free foot and I'm gonna pummel in, keeping my toes up, okay? So now if he tries to pressure into me here, look, I don't even really need to do much. Okay, my hip is pretty strong in this position. Now it's an easy thing to keep him at bay, okay? As far as your hands go, okay? Let's talk about the frame first. To start to go into offensive cycles, one good grip we're gonna use here for Kiss of the Dragon is we're gonna take this arm, bring our forearm nice and deep. This influences us to bring our head in this direction, okay? For now, you can just leave this hand free or grab his leg, okay? Now, this is more conceptual, but it's very important to the position, moving the person around here. Once you guys get your position set up, if you want to test your controls, do this. In either order, okay? Bring your knees to your chest and extend your partner away. This should teach you how to use your legs and hips effectively in this position. You should really think about keeping your toes up because this is a stronger position to keep your foot safe, okay? Like if somebody tries to leg lock you here, unless you're being like really lazy, they're probably not gonna get super far. If Ulysses turns his toes this way, you can get hit with really quick counters like the steam locks, okay? So don't give him that toe hold angle. Bring your foot more this way. There's no immediate like cheap submissions right here. Okay, right away I get my reverse De La Riva hook, and I'm already framing on my own leg, okay? We're pummeling this foot inside, and at any point, we're switching to this underhook in front of the shin. So we're not doing this, guys. We're going in front of the shin, and we're pulling with this like bicep curl here, okay? And then once you get here, you can test your hooks, okay? Pulling the knees in, pushing away, okay? If you can't do that, that probably means you guys aren't attaching your feet. Guys, remember, look at my back, it's slightly off the ground. If you guys are too flat here, like, yeah, I can get my toes there. It's kind of like what Grant was saying in De La Riva. Like, just straighten your leg. Yeah, see, that's not a good connection. Versus this. How about now? See, I'm pretty well attached there. Okay? Okay. So, now we're going to start to go to this hand. All right? So, when I want to invert underneath of him, I'm going to just take this hand and reach behind his hamstring. I'm going to use this to pull my head under. Guys, I don't care if his leg moves forwards or not. That's a bonus. But don't focus on muscling his leg. Focus on pulling your head through. Okay. Once we pull our head through, we'll switch immediately from the hamstring to the ankle. Okay. From here, guys, we need to pummel this other crab ride hook in. Okay. There's a very specific way to do it. Okay. We don't want to do things like grab our own foot and try to do this. It's very unrealistic. Okay. Just do this motion, guys. Draw a circle with your heel around the hip, and then to the inside, and that should be much, much easier, okay? And then from here, we can end with just double ankle grips, okay? Guys, never spend too much time here without control of both ankles or both hips, okay? Just like Grant was saying about De La Riva, if I do that, that's when he's gonna start to face me. Yeah. Obviously, we have a lot of people that favor leg locks here, okay? Okay, so we need to be gripping, placing our feet with intentions here, okay? first thing I had to tell somebody, hey, is to actually like hold on. So they were like grabbing the person's ankles, and but I just run out of this. Okay. Well, yeah, my hands are there, but you know. Guys, when you make a grip, remember, whether you're wrestling, or you're doing collar ties, you're making wrist grips, anything like that, make sure your elbows are in tight. So now he runs away. See, I'm attached to him. Okay. The other thing here is like kind of the same idea with your legs. Like, yeah, your legs are in the right place, but if they're kind of like loose here, go both hands. Go both hands on one heel. Just pull through. Okay. So that was happening with people. Guys, when you have your crab ride hooks, you should be flaring your knees. He wants the opposite. He wants my knees like straight. Okay. If I flare my knees, and he goes to do that exact same thing. See, it's like barely moving. Guys, I see some of you posting here, like crushing here. I can't push him away with my foot on his quad. Guys, step on your partner. Now if he comes towards me, see, now I can keep him away. Okay? Now guys, watch. You need to have a balance there. When you invert, you do not keep that leg stretched. That's how you get caught in leg locks here. Okay? Once I make the decision to grab the far leg and invert, I'm bringing my heel to my butt. So now if Ulysses tries to pull my leg through, okay, it's a lot more difficult. I'm more structurally strong here. Whereas if I straighten my leg, yeah, we're running into problems now. So heel to butt. Okay, 1, circle in 2, then grab both heels. Like, as the top person, what does he want to do to get, basically do an offensive cycle here? It's never a bad idea for Ulysses to like pummel in. Again, kind of like how we were doing in De La Riva, and like wiping this off. That's going to open up his contacts here. And that's again when we're going to have to do things like grip fight and pummel back in. Okay. And again, that's like a guard retention tool where like you'll really use the lasso a lot in Nogi. Okay. Other question I got here. Okay. So when they're really giving you that position where they bend their knee, okay, which again is going to be really where we use the reverse De La Riva a lot. Sometimes people here are going to start really driving forwards and like you can't get the grip. You'll see a lot of great reverse De La Riva players here. Instead of hooking here, if you can't get it, they'll actually grab the heel and use this to off balance. We're gonna reach up here and we're gonna collar tie the hips, one hand at a time. So guys, remember, when you do a collar tie, try to get down your forearm. Try not to use your palm too much, just so you have more leverage here. Okay, I really wanna get a good bite on that bit. All right, once I get the first one, I'll switch to the second. And then from here, I'm looking to close my elbows to my ribs so I get a strong position. Okay? Like Grant was saying in the gi when we did De La Riva, if you can compensate one hip more so than the other, it can be strong to put one hand on the ground versus pulling like straight down here. Okay, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay? So can you come back up for a second here? So what I mean is like, instead of like a straight row here, if you're able to with the Nogi grips, you can pull one down slightly more and make that hand go to the floor. Otherwise, a lot of times what's going to happen, and this is still, can be just as effective, okay, we'll get more of a straight pull here, okay? Regardless of what happens, we're still going to do the same thing, all right? So once we start to pull him down, I'm going to keep my butterfly hooks engaged, and I'm just going to lock my knees out like I'm being V-barred. Okay, and that's going to put his butt on the ground. Now, important when we land. This is good. We have a good chest to back connection, but we don't want to get too excited here and loosen up our legs and have this guy start spinning around, okay? We don't want to scramble. So, it's going to be like milliseconds here, but until I'm ready to climb up to the seatbelt grip, I'm going to keep my legs tense here. Like try to move your legs and hips around. Yeah, see, a little bit of a buffer there. And then from there, once we land, 1, and when you seatbelt, remember, just bring your hand through, use your wrists. 2. Now if he turns, I have control of his shoulders. This is going to make it more appropriate at this point when we lock our seatbelt, start to loosen up our legs and attack the back. Okay? Now typically here, I'm still not going to just release. I'm going to do one at a time, so I still have one crab right hook. Okay? So we could do something simple like this, bring one in, bring the other in. This isn't too far-fetched. Okay? For those of you that play more dynamic back controls, when you bring one in, okay, you can start to fall to that side, even up to a body triangle. Okay, obviously from things like De La Riva, especially, you can look to elect to keep his posture broken with the cross collar. But honestly, like, if we're getting right to business with Kiss of the Dragon, just know you are going to be letting go of this stuff a lot of times right away anyways, okay? Now from here, I would say this is a little more important, especially in the knee, okay? On top of the hip grips, we also have the belt grip, right? Now, if some of you remember me saying, Grant was saying this too when he was teaching daily Riva, okay? With the belt grip, we have more play with our leverage, okay? So again, we don't always need to pull straight down. Now, like, don't look at this as an error. This can actually be a good thing too. We can look to pull more to one side to get him to post his hand. And a lot of times that can make it harder to defend the grab right. Okay. And then obviously in the E here too, we can look for different controls with the lapels versus the classic seat belt as well. Setting our hook, getting our shin grip, getting our frame on the stomach here so he's not smashing us. Okay. Whatever grips you guys like here. On my here. Okay. Now, once we're ready, okay, again, we're assuming there's not a big reaction here. We're going to do one hand at a time. Collar tie, pull down, stretch the hooks, okay? Remember to keep this tension going, keep those knees locked out. 1, 2, lock it. I'm going to recommend that you guys go one leg at a time. You can go here, or if you guys play a little more dynamic, hooks, or as you're coming through, you can lock the body down. What happens if Ulysses, as I'm doing Reverse De La Riva, puts this knee on the floor? Okay. I'm going to be honest with you guys. You could still hit this technique. Okay. He's not as mobile here. Okay. And it might seem like you're too cramped up here, but honestly, if you follow a lot of those details, like pummeling the foot here, okay, it should still be an easy entry into a crab ride. Okay, so like maybe I'll start to invert here. A lot of times what I can do, regardless of what grip I have, I can actually switch to the scoop grip here. And again, look to start attacking the leg here as well. So here, all right, this is gonna be a common thing, especially like when somebody knows you want to go for that full crab ride here, okay? So, I mean, we'll talk about these switching between the ankles and the hips a little more dynamically in a second. Well, let's just be under the assumption right here, and that this might have been what happened to you. Like, you're already grabbing the hips, but to stop you from hitting the kick out, they basically sit on you, and they put their hands on the mat. Okay, either one or both, it doesn't matter. Okay, so if I could, I would still extend them here. Let's assume though Ulysses puts both hands behind him and he keeps his weight into his hands, okay? Alright, so I'm using this as an example because watch. Okay, this might have been what was happening, right? Alright, so when this happens, it sucks, I can't take his back now, but I do have his weight loaded on top of me, right? So this is a good time to think about sweeping him instead of taking his back, alright? So we're basically going to sweep him right into like almost a leg drag. Okay, or even like a topside continuation of a crab ride, depending on how he lands. Okay, so from here we're just going to pick one arm, and we're going to reverse throw into the hip. I'm very adamant about this, guys, not just so we have a strong body lock, but also so if you grab high, Ulysses could do more grip here. Yes. Now when I grab low, try to do that again. Very difficult, okay? So when we go for the body lock, let's make sure we're grabbing the hip bone, okay? Now to sweep him, okay? I am still gonna extend my legs, but I'm not trying to push him out. It's gonna be like a giant circle or steering wheel here, okay? So now when I extend my hips, watch, okay? My fingers are pointing the way to go. I'm gonna start to lift the leg up on my left side more so than the other, so I can start to off balance here. You guys see it's very similar to the Jedi mind trick. My head is moving behind Ulysses. Right away, I'm building a base to this elbow, okay? We'll just look at the leg drag. We'll pretend like he stops on the side here. Okay, we'll give you guys more options in a second. From here, just like the back take, I still keep tension on this hook as I come up so it doesn't go to turtle right away. Okay? Now from here, as I come up, I'm going to start to rotate this knee inside, and then I'm going to let go of this foot. Okay? If you guys haven't done leg drag with me before, look. My instep is behind the hamstring. When you leg drag, this isn't wrong, but there are a ton of risks with this. I'm not doing this. A, I'm not hitting his leg, and B, if he underhooks my leg here, he can invert and start attacking. Okay. So when we leg drag, we're here. Now I'm stapling Ulysses' leg, and now if he underhooks my leg and tries to attack me here, I kind of don't care. Okay, he's gonna have to get this foot out to do something substantial with that. Okay. Guys, this week we've been having problems with so far people getting guillotine grip here. Yeah. Not the strongest setup for him, but definitely annoying, and this could turn into a scramble. So as you guys are leg dragging, try to bring your ear to the front. And remember, this is important too. So if he tries to build height here, I can use this to knock him back down to his shoulder. Okay. Now, again, if he puts his hands backwards, right? All right, we're looking at getting a body lock here. Okay, if we're in the gi, we do have other options here. Okay, you guys can obviously grab the belt. Or another good one too is you can look to get a cross lapel grip here as well. Okay, and then really it just functions the same. Rotating, feeling high, tucking the elbow. You see with the play on the lapel, it gives you, can give you a slightly more robust grip here. Okay. Guys, the concept here is building height, right? So if I have this arm but I end up kicking him this way, that probably just means I'm going to end up switching arms and getting up to my other side. That's it. You can, since you asked the question, I feel this too. Right. So I go to grab right and she sits on me here. Okay, so you feel the weight into your hands. See, I can't, even being bigger than you, I can't extend you out because your weight's here. Okay? So again, the basis of this technique is just a redirection from the first one. So body lock, one higher than the other. I start to tilt as I build height to my elbow. Okay? Guys, other reactions here, you see I still have the crab eye hooks. If she ever tries to belly out, hey, I can have like a top side crab right here. And in a lot of ways, like, I mean, she's turning her back to me, so this is the best thing for her. Okay. Otherwise, we'll assume they just, take this position. Okay. If this is the case, again, we'll palm the knee in. Make sure your foot's behind the hamstring. Okay, and then as you settle the position here, head in front so you're not getting guillotine grip, and so we can keep the first arm down. Make sense? Okay, again, it's not the end of the world to have your head on the outside. Some of you might even prefer this to go for your head and arms, okay? Or even something like rotolotines here. Okay, that's fine. And I want to reiterate, this can be your first choice, okay? You don't feel comfortable here, okay? You really like the ankle grips, or if you feel like you let go at any point, he's just going to explode out of this, we can choose to do this first, okay? Either way, let's approach it as like the opposite of the last one. Last one, he had his hands over here. Let's assume he brings his hands in front, okay? Now here, it's the same problem. I'm just pushing him into those posts. You can't crab ride him here, okay? So from here, we're going to do a really straight jump balance, okay? It'll be like a power bottom, okay? We're going to bridge our hips. Actually, not really. Doesn't make sense. You'll see. Here, and then knees down. So we put a lot of weight into his knees here. Okay? And then we're going to sit up. Now, I want you guys to approach this as like kind of how I teach basic single leg X sweeps or open guard sweeps in the basics class. Okay? A lot of times when we get up after we sweep them, we hold on to the ankles, we scoot back, and we hit a technical sit up. It's the same thing here, guys. We're just behind the person. Okay? Now, as I get up, okay, it's pretty obvious we're going to turtle with this one. A few extra things that we can do to get control so he doesn't scramble as soon as I let go. Look at this knee, it's going to be like I'm taking a shot here. I'm going to like pin his knee with that with my shin. Okay? And then as soon as I do that, if I want to block the other side again, very across the here, we'll just put in that spiral right. Okay. Now we have traction over both hips, and it's going to be a more reasonable thing. Maybe start climbing up or doing whatever you guys like to do. Okay, now I'm talking more about the pant grips too. Okay. Obviously the ankles are good, we already looked at that. But we also saw that we have that walkout problem here too. So a lot of times if you guys feel more comfortable, this isn't a bad idea. Switch your thumb to the inside of the pants. 1, 2. Now he actually has to have grip brakes. It's very hard to walk out. Okay. This can give us a really good off balance into our wrestle up here as well. Then from here, once we have the spiral ride, okay, just a few minor things. Like you can look to grab the material of the pants and stiff arm, but a lot of times you are just going to lock your elbow out anyways. Okay. We looked at a claw grip here too. You can also look to get a lapel grip here too and use this to control the position as well. So here, guys, bridge your hips and your knees are doing this like a big, like a rainbow. Okay, you really want to feel those knees dead drop. Okay, guys, don't get up right here. Okay, not just because it's this guy. Right? Also, he's like, I can't. Scoot back first, scoot back, tuck, and then come up. That's going to be much easier. Let's say he has his hands on the mat, for example, just like the last technique. You're here, you're bridging up, you're trying to pull weight into the knees, but he's insistent on just keeping his hamstrings straight. Yeah, I can't really do much with this. And then you're like, now what? Okay. Guys, you can just keep doing the motion without putting his knees on the ground and literally just wrestle up to a body lock. Okay? So if we're here and I can't break him down, I can literally start coming up